The last part of quadratic equations that we need to look at is their applications to real-life situations. So our success criteria is to be able to create a quadratic equation from a word problem, use the null factor law to then solve that quadratic, and then check how valid our answer actually is to the situation, because there will be some answers that you'll come out with and say, that doesn't make sense, I can't actually use that. So our first example here, we've got the area of a rectangle is 28 meters squared. We know its length is 3 meters more than its width, and we're being asked to find the dimensions of that rectangle. So let's draw that rectangle. All right, we know that this is 28 meters squared. We know that area is length times width. So this is our length, this is our width. We know the length is 3 meters more than the width. So the length is going to be the width plus 3. With me so far? So our area is going to be the width plus 3, which is our length, times the width. And we know that this is 28. So if we come over here, we can write our quadratic equation out. Because to start with, we have 28, our area, is equal to the width plus 3, which is our length, times the width. Now this looks like the questions we were doing when we were learning to solve, where we've got to rearrange a bit. So first, let's make it look like a quadratic by expanding this bracket. We have 28 is equal to width squared plus 3 times the width. And now we've got to make it equal to 0 so that we can use our null factor law. So 0 is going to equal the width squared plus 3 times the width minus 28. Now we've got to find our factors of 28. They're both going to have to, one will have to be negative, one will have to be positive, and they're going to have to add together to give us positive 3. So they're going to be 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. 4 and 7 are 3 apart. So if we go 0 is going to equal, to get positive 3, it's going to have to be positive 7 and negative 4. So width minus 4 times width plus 7. So, oops, no, I want 0 is going to be equal to width minus 4, or 0 is going to be equal to the width plus 7. So in this case, 4 would be the width. Or in this case, negative 7 would be our width. So width is 4 or negative 7. Now, we've got 2 options here for the width. But obviously the width of our rectangle can't be a negative number. Okay, so that negative 7, we look at that and think of that in a real life situation. You're not going to have a rectangle with a negative length. So that's not a valid solution for our situation, which means that the width must be 4. Go over here. The width is 4, and we know that the length is the width plus 3. So our length must be 4 plus 3, which is 7. And we can check that because our area needs to be 28. 4 times 7 equals 28, which is our area. Let's have a look at a different one. Here, we're told that the product of 2 consecutive numbers is 72. So product means that we've multiplied them together and we've come out with 72. We need to use a quadratic to find what those 2 numbers are. So let's call our first number So let first number be x. Because they're consecutive, which means they follow on from each other, second number is going to be x plus 1. Because it's one more than x, it's the next number. So our equation here, we know that when we multiply them together, we get 72. So x times x plus 1, so our two numbers multiplied together, gives us 72. Now if we expand our bracket, we'll have a quadratic we can solve. X squared plus x equals 72. So x squared plus x minus 72 will be 0. Factors of 72. We've got to add to 1. So they're probably going to be pretty close together. Let's have a think. So at the same time, I made a little list of the factors of 72. And I've got to 8 and 9. They're 1 apart, so that's going to be what we need. It needs to add to positive 1, but one of them has to be negative in order to get negative 72. So negative 8 and positive 9 will give us positive 1. So we're going to have x plus 9 times x minus 8. That's going to be 0. Now we know that trick where we reverse the signs of these. So x is going to equal to negative 9 or positive 8. Now we've just got to check. If the product of two consecutive numbers is 72, well, it works either way, because if we use negative 9, our two numbers would be negative 9 and then negative 8, because the next number up is actually, we go closer to 0, so it's negative 8, and negative 9 times negative 8 is going to give us 72. Positive 8, we're going to have 8 and then 9, and 8 times 9 is going to give us 72. So either way, our solution is valid. So the two numbers are either 8 and 9 or negative 9 and negative 8. Here's one for you to have a go. Pause it now and I'll be back with your answer. So the values for the width you should have come out with are 6 and negative 8. Obviously negative 8 isn't going to be a valid answer in this situation, so our width is 6 meters, length is 2 more, so it's 8 meters. Make sure you go back to the success criteria and check those off, and if you have any problems, let me know.